it has become passé and maybe deserved to malign lawyers, right? Everyone knows lawyer jokes, and our profession often deserves the ridicule and complaints that we get. But in modern times, I think, especially the last couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years, there's something to be, I think, admired in how lawyers deal with things, and especially, in my experience, criminal justice. And there's lots and lots of problems, obviously, but when you go to the basic issue of how to resolve a dispute or how to persuade someone to your point of view, what you have, I think, too much in society, as you say, you have two problems. You have one, is that when people do engage, they yell invective and they say, you're ugly or you're fat, or there's whataboutism, and there's all sorts of non-logical argument that goes on, and it's very mean-spirited and it's very terrible, and it affects people's opinions of the whole process. As bad as that is, what's even worse, I think, in some ways, is the other problem. And the other problem is people don't engage with the other side at all. You have your view about tax policy, you have your view about foreign policy, you have your view about healthcare policy, whatever, and your view is your view, and the only people you will ever hear from or follow on Twitter or listen to on television are people who have your exact same point of view, and that's it. Both of those things are anathema in a court of law. Just imagine if the defense lawyer or the prosecutor, when they didn't like the arguments being made by the other side, put their hands over their ears and just sang a nursery rhyme or something and didn't pay attention. You are paid. It is your obligation under the Constitution, whether you're the prosecutor or the defense lawyer. I mean, the defense lawyer is obliged to represent zealously the client. Prosecutor obliged to represent zealously the public. You have no choice but to listen and engage, and then to make your points, to persuade the jury to your point of view. And when you do it, as you say, you can't do it with broad brush. You can't do it based on irrelevant things. You can't do it based on hatred or cynicism or racism or xenophobia. Or imagine an immigration case. You're having an argument about an immigration crime, and people were allowed to say things like Mexicans are rapists as a general matter. People are allowed to say S-hole countries, or any one of a number of things that seems to pass for okay in modern dialogue. And then the final point that I think is really incredible is the jurors are admonished every day to do what? Keep an open mind, even while the debate is going on. And the one most interesting way to me, you can get kicked off a jury, obviously if you're late or you violate the judge's rules, but if you choose not to deliberate, if you go into the jury room at the end of a trial and you say, my mind is made up, I know what I know, I saw the evidence, not guilty or guilty, and you don't deliberate with them, there's a legal basis for being kicked off the jury. Imagine if in society, in order to have the full benefits and privileges of citizenship, there was some obligation to talk to your fellow citizens who disagree with you and do it in a respectful way. I think we'd be better off.